Hello, lovely family. Welcome to your favorite cooking channel. And this is how my first try on pumpkin pie went. Honestly, it sounded a bit funny, but then I did this with my friend Josephine, Miss Josie. Yeah, she was very helpful with this, and she actually inspired it. She was like, "Abba, have you tried pumpkins?" I was like, "Nah, I've not really tried it yet." And she was like, "Oh, then I'm bringing you pumpkins. Let's do something with pumpkin." I was like, "Really? Then let me go and look for what I could do with it." So this is my first try on pumpkin pie, and I'm going to share my experience with you. It came out well. There were things I also learned along, and it was very tasty, and it was nice. We didn't really know what to expect, but then it tasted real nice. Let me be very honest. This tasted real nice. This is not about promo or anything. So yes, we did the pumpkin pie. We baked it. We have a pie dish here. So what we did was we used a glass to bake, which was perfect. Baking in your glass bowl is our guy. But you need to know there's not a glass bowl you can bake with. And we did one in our normal cake tins. Just in case you don't have a pie dish, you don't have a glass bowl to bake, I realized you could still use your baking tins to bake it. And it still came out well. And then we did one without the crust. Yes, that one too was sweet. But then that one is very soft and textured. I'll tell you more about it in there. So for the pumpkin recipe, we used flour. Obviously, we had 1 pound of flour. We had ½ pound margarine. Yes. Then we had some pumpkin pulp. This is the puree pumpkin from the can. Yes. And we used 2 eggs. There's a medium or regular eggs too. Just 2 is okay. Then we had some sugar, nutmeg, cinnamon, and then ginger powder to spice it up. That goes into the pumpkin mixture, the filling. Then you need a glass of milk. So this is a bigger glass. That's like a big ideal tin or a big tin of milk. Yes. If you're using the smaller ones, which is like 160 something, that one you need to use 2. So you need about 300 and something grams of milk. So what I did is for the crust, I just mixed my pound of flour with the margarine. And what you need to note is that you could just use your butter or your margarine, but make sure that you mix it very well. And what I got to realize is you just need just a little bit of water. So I use cold water because sometimes if you use warm water, you may have to put it in the fridge for it to come together, because there's so much margarine and there's less water, and you're going to knead it up. If you don't get your fat together, it will not come out well. So what I do is I used the cold water to bind it up, so I didn't have to put it in the fridge afterwards. Then when I was done, I just rolled it up with my rolling pin. I didn't even use ½ a cup. No, I used less. So what I did when I was done was to use a rolling pin to roll out the mixture. Then when you're done, you just use a rolling pin to assist you to put it in your pie dish or in your glass bowl or something. Yes, so you just need to do this as light as possible. Yes. Once I forgot, depending on the type of margarine you're using, if your margarine is not salted enough, you can add a pinch of salt to the flour so that it comes tasting nice. But I realized that if you're using good margarine, just the margarine and the flour can do the trick for you. Yes. So I just used the rolling pin to assist me put it in. Then I pressed the crust filling all over the glass. Then I cut off the excesses. Now what I learned along the way was sometimes braiding and putting it on is not that easy. Yes, so I did the braid on to just give it a nicer look, but I realized it didn't go too easy. So sometimes to save yourself that stress, you could just smoothen the top up, and you could just use your thumb rather to just create a design, a fold up design on top, or you could just leave a little bit of the excess crust on top. But then you can also braid like I did. What I realized is the braiding, if you don't take care, and especially like mine, which I did like in 3 bits and I put together, if you don't measure it well, by the time you are done, one part will break off or something. So the rest of the filling, I just place it in the cake pan, which I had greased. Then I place it in to help it come out from it easy. Then I just pass it in just to get a nice shape. So I realized that yes, without the pie dish or your glass pirate for baking, you could use the baking powder. That's what I got to know. So what I did was to put the brown paper and some seashells in the bigger one, so that when it bakes, it's not going to rise up. Yes, I was just trying to see how it's going to come out without and with something in there. Now you could equally use dry beans in there or anything that's going to help you bake. And then the other one, you realize I left it like that. And when it came out, you realize the one that had nothing in there to check the rice had it a bit bloated because not a akum kaka. But then the bigger one where there were seashells, the base and everything was perfect. Yes, so that's one thing I noticed. So what I do here for the mixing, the pumpkin mix, is just to add the ginger powder, cinnamon, nutmeg to your eggs, your 2 eggs. You add in your sugar and then you just mix it up beautifully. Add in your milk, mix it up, and then add in your pumpkin. So sometimes people use fresh pumpkin and they just puree it and then put it in. Sometimes you could just bake your pumpkin up a bit to soften it. You mash it and then it goes in. You could just save yourself the stress and just use a canned pumpkin. Yes, but then if you're using fresh, the best way to go about it is to bake it a bit to soften it, and then you mash it and then it goes in. Or you could just puree it fresh and then put it in. So it's very easy to do it, honestly. You just need to just mix your things up properly and then you just pour this filling in there. So what I realized is that for a can of the puree, by the time that is quite a lot. So you could get smaller pumpkins, quite a number from it, or a very big large one. So you just need to mix it beautifully together. At first we didn't really know what we're going to really get, like the taste, how it's going to come out. But trust me, it came out tasting nice. It's one of the nicest stuff I've tried in my life. And I think we can give it a try. Because in Ghana, we still have pumpkins. People grow pumpkins around here. And they're not really overly expensive. That's the reality. If you're having your 10 cedis or less, you could get some pumpkin to use. So, after about 10 to 12 minutes, yes, we took out the crust part. Then I poured out the seashells. I took them for my little nephew, IG. Yes. So I borrowed his seashells. And then because I didn't have parchment paper, I just used a brown paper. So you could use a brown paper or a parchment paper. And like I was saying, the braids can be a bit trouble. Yes. And you realize the one I didn't put any shells in, the crust part rose up a bit. But the ones with the shells, the inner part was still well laid and flat. So that's one thing I also realized. Then I poured in the pumpkin mixture into them. Yes. Then I allowed it to bake. Yes. So the rest of the pumpkin mixture that was remained, I didn't know what to do with it. I was like, let's just try without baking with the crust and see how it comes. So I just greased a baking pan. Then I just poured it in. Then it went into the oven. And that also came out nice. But what I realized is without the crust, it's too soft, it's too smooth. Yes, but with the crust, it gives it some crunch. And, you know, the crust feeling. Yes, it gives it a nice, pie feeling when you're eating it. So for 15 minutes, when we took out, the small one was done. And the crustless one was also done. Yes, so when I put my toothpick through, it was not too mushy. But the big one, boy, it took us like 45 minutes to do it. That's a reality. So you need to be careful of the quantities you're using and how deep it is. Yes. So later I realized that if I was doing the bigger one, for the 45 minutes, I didn't really need to really pre-do my dough. I could have just poured it in and then just let it go. But the reality is it came out a bit cracked. Yes. And later what I got to know or realize was to check the cracks on, sometimes you could just use condensed milk instead. Yes, the condensed milk has more texture, so it binds it properly. But then this was still tasty, it was still nice, and I really did enjoy it. So I hope you also give your pumpkin a try, like just when we did here. Yes, so wherever you are, do try out pumpkin. It's available in Ghana here. We don't have the Abrofo kind pumpkin, which is scary and all circular and all those ones. Our pumpkin looks a bit like squash. Yes, that's a shape. But then you can get some around here. So do give it a try. And my first pumpkin experience went well. Let me be very honest with you. it went very well, and I've been trying it afterwards, doing it more. Yes, just to enjoy it more. Yes, so I see you in the next food video. Do live life to the fullest, be merry, be joyous, and make sure to make your health a priority this year. Lots of love for my team and I. Do subscribe, like, and share. Mwah.